Hello out there, everyone. Hey. Welcome to the Musical QuaranStream. If you're joining us for the first time, I am Glen.
I'm Bree. Welcome. And it's my birthday.
Yes, we have the birthday girl sitting right here.
I'm almost 40, but not quite.
And what are we doing? I am 40. And what are we doing to honor her birthday? We are making her work on the stream today. So
that's what I'd want to do anyway.
Oh, yes.
But we did eat Hawaiian barbecue before we did it, so that was fun.
Oh, yes.
We had passion fruit meringue pie. I told Glenn, I said, I don't know if I can do the show because I know we've had a couple weeks, but things have still kind of been a little busy. And I started working at Starbucks down the road, so I had like a full 9-hour day.
Yes.
And then we ate some Hawaiian barbecue, and now we're doing the stream. But I'm glad we're doing the stream, and I feel a little sad that I won't have I've never had a fully fleshed out ideas for these, but I still really think it's a good idea. I really, really like Night Vale. I haven't gotten to listen to it really that much since 2016. That's the last time I had really like a data entry type of job where I got to listen to podcasts a lot. And then when this job came around, working in a lab, I listened to podcasts, but I've been getting caught up on a lot of Roman Mars's stuff. So 99% Invisible and what Trump can teach us about con law and all of that type of stuff. So I haven't gotten through as much as Night Vale since 2016 as I would have liked. But I am going to be pitching an idea that kind of came from a 2016 show. So if you, like me, have not listened to it for a while, or if, maybe you just started listening to it and you want to go back, hopefully this will inspire you guys. And Glenn promised me that he'll bring some ideas to the table as well, so I don't have to just have a 20-minute show tonight.
Yeah, so between the two of us, we're gonna punch this thing out. We're gonna get this on its feet.
Yes.
And let me just start by saying, I like the idea of you haven't really listened to it since 2016, that you aren't up to date on everything that's going on right now, because anybody out there who knows Welcome to Night Vale, and if you don't know Welcome to Night Vale, add it to your podcast feed right now. It's a phenomenal podcast. But if you know Welcome to Night Vale, you know that Welcome to Night Vale has a very, very deep lore. Like, they've been going for a long time.
Yeah, 8 or 9 years. A really, really long time.
Yeah, and while it's not a story in the traditional sense, it's not it's not like watching a soap opera. It is a world that's developing constantly.
Yes.
So I feel like with something like that, where you've had the world developing constantly for so long, it's really best if you can go back to the beginning and have sort of let's have a simpler idea based on what came first, so that people can essentially use the stage show to catch up and then launch into the current podcast.
Well, and to be honest, I think at the time that I was listening to as well, they actually did have a tour going on. So I think that seeing how things kind of already worked, I guess, as a tour and as a live show for them, I think I was a little bit inspired by that. But, we'll go from there.
Yes. All right, so I was kind of dancing around it there so that I didn't step on your toes or anything about what Night Vale is. Tell us a little bit about what Welcome to Night Vale is, for anybody who doesn't know.
So, Welcome to Night Vale is, I think a lot of people would say it's kind of like Lovecraftian in a lot of respects, be it that it has monsters and creepy stuff. But what I really like about it, I always tell people, I can't do horror. I have a very vivid imagination and a heightened startle response, so anything horror related is just not something I can deal with. I've already thought of the most horrible things, and either I'm disappointed because the horror was not horrific enough, or I am, my expectations are met and I am horrified, or it's very... I can't do it.
And I am a huge fan of horror. So whenever I do come up with a horror movie that I'm I want her to see, I have to very carefully vet it and watch it with an eye toward So how much body horror does this have in it?
Or tell me when to shut my eyes.
Is it too much body horror?
Like, I really, like, I liked Get Out a lot, but literally, like, the very first scene is somebody being abducted in a car trunk, and I was like, see, I told you it could happen. I worry about this all the time. If I was a lighter person, it would have already happened. Like, I literally was just like, I was already like, my bias is confirmed. This is horrible. So I always tell Glenn he has to kind of like watch it first and then tell me like what it's about, and if I think I can deal with it, I will watch it, and if I don't think I can deal with it, I won't. So there are certain things like Jaws. I love Jaws. Yeah. So there's certain
The Wicker Man.
Yes, I did like the Wicker Man a lot. So I think that a lot of the more natural elements of stuff I can kind of watch, or like supernatural, or I always say like I'm good at thrillers as well, so if it's kind of like murder mysteries and stuff like that, I can kind of manage that. But what I like about Night Vale is the premise that it's set up in like a public radio station, so like PBS, but it's this fantastical, horrific world, but everybody just treats it like, well, that's just Jerry down the street, you know?
Hey,
yay!
you got a
Thank
happy birthday.
you, Kelly! I'm so excited. I made it to 39. Yay! We did it! Everybody kept me alive. Mostly me. So I like that, where it's this very, like, what I think people would say is a boring job, and, you know, give out, like, tote bags and stuff like that, but there's like a floating cat in the bathroom who has kittens, and there's these like voids that open up and faceless old women and dragons and horrific angels and stuff like that. So for me, I was like, I think it's just the creativity of where, you know, the creators kind of went with stuff, and also like just how fleshed out the world is. And I like non sequiturs as kind of humor, so having these kind of like non sequitur things are in general pretty funny. Like there's just basically like Arby's and
yeah. Well, I always love
the secret police and the dog park and the glow cloud.
Yeah, the way I always think of Welcome to Night Vale is it's essentially pick any monster movie, scary, supernatural movie you can think of. And if the characters clicked on the local NPR radio station, Welcome to Night Vale is what they would hear. So it's not...
Or like Twin Peaks, or like it's just like you feel like the worlds of like Twin Peaks and Tremors and all that stuff.
Twin Peaks, Tremors, what would be another good one? Well, I mean, The Wicker Man is kind of an older film, but that you could see The Wicker Man being the Summer Isle radio station or something like that. It's basically, this is a town where everything weird happens, so that the weird has become so commonplace that the announcers are simply announcing it as the happenings of the day and not reacting to it in, say, War of the Worlds style anymore.
Well, and what I think that it allows to do as well is that they do have like very close and loving family relationships. So, you know, they have really strong LGBTQ relationships. I know like they talk about families and nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, I really enjoy that, is that it doesn't matter how crazy and bizarre the world is. I think at its heart, Night Vale is really like connecting people and showing the value of like family or found family or friends, and, you know, kind of what a community can do when it pulls together. So it's a bit like a bizarre Parks and Rec.
It's a horror story that doesn't focus on how everybody is dying. Instead, it focuses on how everybody is surviving. And
I think that they show a lot of things can be survived as well. Like, I remember, so the main protagonist is Cecil, and he is the radio announcer, and he has a boyfriend named Carlos. And I think Carlos got sucked into a multi-dimension or void or something, but he could still call up Cecil and say, but I'm learning so much, and I think he like works with rocks. He's some sort of scientist. I was like, this is the problem of not seeing it for like 4 years. But he was like, yeah, I'm doing great science, and I'll be back soon, babe. You know, and I thought that was just really kind of lovely, because, you know, I don't think that you get to kind of hear like, yes, this horrific thing happened, but we're all okay. You know, we're gonna get through it. Like, I'll find my way back to you. Like and it can be possible. You know, and you really feel like, oh, okay, yeah, that's sad we're apart, but it's more like, You feel like sad. It's like when somebody tells you, I'm studying abroad in Paris, but I'll be back next year. You know, more so than like the abyss ate me.
Yes. It's like when
which I feel like we need in 2020, right?
Yeah, when you're getting communication from the other side and all the terrible things that are over there, the communication isn't, oh no, it's eating my leg. Instead, the communication is, you would not believe the rock that I found yesterday.
Yeah. Or, oh my gosh, it's eating my leg. Oh.
It's so adorable.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, I saw this one-eyed creature. Oh.
Which is another thing that I truly love about Night Vale is that Cecil, the announcer, is such an NPR voice.
Yes.
It's like anything he says, a lot of times in the early episodes, back when I was listening to it, it was really the music that was your first clue that something was going wrong.
Right.
But, you know, it's one of those things, like I said, bad things are happening. Weird things are happening out there. But everybody knows they're going on. Mm-hmm. So I think of it as like everybody in Twin Peaks knew the log lady.
Yeah.
You know, this weird lady walks around with a log and basically treats the log like it's her pet, and it talks to her, and she says one day her log is going to talk to everybody else, and everyone just treats her as like, oh yeah, her. Yeah, don't worry about her, she's harmless. So you have the things like, I referenced this in one of my social media posts, telling people to come join us for this. Where, you know, I love there's a reference in the very first episode to the dog park, which suddenly turns into, dogs are not allowed in the dog park.
Yes.
People are not allowed in the dog park. Do not go in the dog park. And it's like, oh, okay, what's the dog park?
Yeah, it's very helpful. Like, I'm actually pulling up. They have some merchandise on a site called,
Topatico.
Topatico. Thank you. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I can pronounce this correctly. And they had, like, bumper stickers for a while, which I think was, like, kind of really indicative of what the show was like.
The Night Vale NRA?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Which I guess they sold out since then. I kind of can't find it, but
no,
I see it. Yeah, the NRA sticker. So it's stuff like it's a whole thing of like the guns don't kill people, people kill people. So it's like guns don't kill people. We are all immortal souls living temporarily in shelters of earth and meat. Guns don't kill people. People kill guns. Guns don't kill people. It's impossible to be killed by a gun. We're all invincible to bullets, and it's a miracle. A list of things that kill people. Conceivably anything, but not guns. Guns don't kill people. Blood loss and organ damage do. If you say guns kill people one more time, I will shoot you with a gun, and you will, coincidentally, die. So I feel like it really is that like weirdo sense of humor where it's like you kind of feel like it's a bit Dada almost, you know, it has this kind of like nihilistic attitude, but it's like really positive.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was like, what I just find so like warm about it is like I was on Tumblr back in the day, and then Tumblr got weird, and now I have to be on Twitter. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I remember back in the day with Tumblr is there's a huge like fan art community with Night Vale, which I think is really sweet, and they just draw people, you know, however it went. Like it can be 3 eyes, it could be purple, it could be whatever. And I think that that's kind of the thing is it doesn't matter who you are or what you are or anything like that. You're kind of welcome there, and like, you know, it's not necessarily like this weird horrific thing. It's just like, oh, that's what a person looks like.
All right, so that is Welcome to Night Vale. That's what you can expect if you tune in. It's basically it is the NPR station that when you tune into it as you're driving through town on the radio, lets you know that maybe this is a town where you want to keep driving. Yeah,
it's like Scooby-Doo Mysteries, Inc.
Yes.
So the reboot of Scooby-Doo, which I know there's been like a million, but there was one called, I think, Scooby-Doo
Mystery Inc. Yeah.
And it's kind of, I think, kind of in that same vein.
Yeah. So where it's like everything is just a little bit off. everything's just a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about putting this onto a live stage as a musical.
So I think the thing that I was drawn to, just to be 100% honest, is the fantastical nature of everything. And I think when you see things like, well, like I referenced Beetlejuice a lot, but I feel like Beetlejuice had a lot of fantastical things. I think even if you have things like Phantom of the Opera, like with the chandelier dropping, and you have Beauty and the Beast, like you have a lot of like major fantastical things you could do in theater, like Wicked with the bubble. So I glommed onto the storyline of the trial of Hiram McDaniels. And if you don't know who Hiram McDaniels is, he's a 5-headed dragon, and each of his heads are different colors and personalities. And I thought that that would be kind of like the best route to go in, because I'd really love to see a giant, like, dragon puppet. Mm-hmm. Like, I know Shrek did that, but I was like, but this is a 5-headed dragon puppet. And I think that kind of having a courtroom drama or structure is something that we've seen a lot on stage.
So why not do it with a 5-headed dragon?
Yeah, I don't know. And like, so the weird twist about it is it's one of the heads versus the other 4. So like, it's already really funny when you hear it on the radio or you hear it on your podcast, where it's like, you know, they have to keep this one head in protective custody and the other 4 have to get locked up. And like, I don't know. I just think it would be really entertaining. I think that there's like a lot of other storyline. Like, I think my second storyline I might have done was the Angels Return to Earth. Mm. And that's when Carlos and Cecil are separated kind of at the end of it, because Carlos goes with the Angels and blah, blah, blah. But I kind of just glommed onto the dragon storyline more. And then it kind of goes into like a little bit of a political rally, I think, after that as well. So there would be like a nice future for like, I guess follow-up show if it was successful. But then the follow-up show would be a bit more like, I think, The Music Man or something. Only instead of like Mayor Shin, it's like, hey, you're Hiram McDaniels.
You said there's room for a sequel, a second show or something like that. And the thing that immediately popped to my mind is, it's Greater Tuna of the Damned.
There you go. So, I mean, like I said, it's not super fleshed out. I really wish I would have spent a little more time on it. But the world. So that's kind of where I would start. And I actually pulled up, I'm not going to really play anything because, you know, I want people to go look it up and kind of give the views or the listens. It is episode number 87, The Trial of Hiram McDaniels. And I'd say go ahead and listen to that. You might want to go a little bit, you know, before or later or something like that. But I think for the most part, if you go listen to episode 87, you'll kind of get a feel for what the story is and kind of who the characters are. Also, like, I just kind of typed in, like, welcome to Night Vale, Hiram McDaniels. So there's good ways to kind of, like, figure it out. And so I don't know. That's where I kind of felt like it made a lot of sense to me. There's this other really great, I'm looking at, like, they have this poster for sale that says, Hiram McDaniels for Night Vale Mayor. I'm literally a 5-headed dragon, so who cares? You know? So I feel like, I don't know, I like that a lot. I like that concept a lot. I think that as a creative person who would do sets and costumes and props, it'd be really fun. I know Lola was here.
Yes, Lola. Lola, say hi to everyone.
Speaking of my favorite, like, 5-headed dragon, is Lola perched on, you know, anybody and whipping her tail around. But yeah.
See, now, I think it's interesting. I like the direction you're taking with it, because you're going in a very Broadway spectacle direction.
I like my spectacle.
And you have you've selected a story that is a fun story, a very fun story, but it's a difficult story to put on stage. So you've really challenged yourself with this. I'm a little bit curious. Do you hear a specific style of music for this show or anything?
I mean, literally, like, for me, it's just like a really bizarre Music Man. You know, like, we got trouble right here in Night Vale.
So something with a more traditional Broadway sound.
What are you doing?
See, I've got to admit, I went in completely a different direction
Oh,
with the
good.
idea in my head. So, first off, I envision the show when I think of the music. I think Music Man But Wrong would be great. I would love to see that. But I envision it as being a show a lot like the way that they composed the SpongeBob SquarePants musical.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Only instead of let's get some of the biggest names in like pop and rock and alternative to write songs for it, I would focus on let's get the real college radio bands to contribute something. So like a number by Belle and Sebastian, a number by Ivy, a number by Momus, Amanda Palmer being invited to write a number for it. Because when I think of Night Vale, I think of And Now the Weather.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, which the weather is a segment on Night Vale where they say, and now the weather, and you have a song, and the song is an independent artist who's written in and sent them a song to play.
Yeah.
So, in that spirit, in my mind, I had, let's ask all of the quirky indie bands that, you know, aren't as high profile as like the SpongeBob bands, but do have their followings to do something for this. And where I also say I went completely the opposite direction from you is you went very spectacle with your storyline. And you went very expansive with your storyline. I think I actually did envision it as like Greater Tuna of the Damned.
Oh, so you went a bit more broad.
Yeah. So in my brain, I see Welcome to Night Vale on stage as looking an awful lot like Eric Bogosian's talk radio. That you have one set, and the one set is the radio studio, with the window in the background that you can see the other staff at the radio station when someone comes to visit. Excuse me. When someone comes to visit the radio station and be a guest on the air or something like that, you can see them through the window. You have the on-air sign that goes on and off and things like that. So I envisioned it as being a show that you could do with, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Being a show that you could do with a small cast. And no special effects on stage, but being very selective with the special effects you choose to do. So maybe you do have something about one of the angels or the glow cloud or something like that you do have a nice moment toward the end of Act 1 that you have a big effect on stage.
Well, I feel like maybe a good compromise, and you can kind of tell me if I'm wrong, would be like Spamalot-ish.
Yeah. Where it's kind of like a storybook theater on stage.
Well, I just feel like Spamalot kind of like splits that, where it's like, yes, there's a lot of like quiet little moments, but then there's also like the giant rabbit prop.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I feel like I felt like for the podcast, for sure, the charm of the podcast certainly is like, oh, I get word that this is happening outside the studio, but I feel like to move it to Broadway, like I'd want to see all that.
Okay.
Like I'd want to actually have the opportunity to see all the really fun characters interacting. Like, so it's like seeing like a Groundhog Day, but it's Night Vale, or seeing like a River City, but it's Night Vale. Like, I really kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would be a great opportunity to like really kind of like create these characters, which I know like it probably is like a negative to some people because everybody likes their own headcanon.
Well, and here's the nice thing though, is that our pitches for these shows are completely fictional. So realistically speaking, each of our pitches is wonderful.
Exactly.
And each of our pitches exists simultaneously.
Yes. And what I also like is you mentioned SpongeBob, and I think SpongeBob is actually like a really good like example for this as well, because like, you know, they had Patrick's Rock.
Yeah.
And one of the most fun things about like Patrick's Rock is he has like they have a paper, like, you know, one of those paper accordion chairs, and that becomes all of his, like, kitchen and, you know, trampoline in bed and whatever, a bubble. Like, it turns into, like, all these, like, really fun, crazy things. So I feel like if you're going to go for that style of piece, I can still have my bright and colorful, shiny and everything. But then if you did want to have, like, a really intimate, like, SpongeBob and his pineapple or Patrick and his rock, you could do that for the radio station.
Yeah. Well, and I think that if you go in a direction of spectacle, if you go in a direction of big show on stage, even if it's a big show created through fairly simple effects on stage, like Spam-A-Lot, like SpongeBob, I think that the more traditional music style that you envision is the way to go for that. Because you're going to want to have your dance numbers.
I just feel like there should be some tap dancing horrors.
Yes. You're gonna want the glow cloud to have like a little chorus line behind it.
All the faceless old ladies and like a producer style number.
Yes, in Little Old Lady Land from the producers, that sort of thing.
Tap dancing dogs not going in the dog park.
And seeing that's
fine.
I think that is I want to see that show. When I say I had my own ideas and I went in the opposite direction, I don't mean I didn't want to see your show. The way you described it, I'm like, yeah, I'll buy a ticket to that. Show me tomorrow.
You know what I think is probably the big difference is, like, I think the style that you proposed is, hey, if we write this and we go to a Fringe show, this is totally that. You know, that's how, like, Evil Dead the musical and Puffs and all that type of stuff got started, and then it moved to off-Broadway. And so I think that it's kind of like a proof of concept show. Yeah. Like, you can still have kind of like a Star Kid-esque musical of this. Yeah. But I feel like the way that, like, my brain just totally went with, like, if I have $1 billion producers and they're going to build me 5 dragon heads.
Well, and this is the thing where I'm always like, I'm really happy the people who create Night Vale have the ability to make money off of it and everything. But man, it would be so much easier if it was public domain like Phantom of the Opera. Because then Brie could do the Welcome to Night Vale that everybody knows and everybody has gone to see on Broadway and everybody has the t-shirt. And I could write the version that community theaters license going, maybe we could trick some people to come in and see this version of the show.
With the floating cat hand puppet.
Yes. Oh, now the floating cat would definitely be in mine.
Yes.
It would have to be.
Well, he's in the bathroom. Where else is he going to go?
It would be a Muppet-style puppet. So,
with all of his floating kittens.
Yes. But yeah.
They would all follow Cecil when they're hungry.
Yeah. But I feel like between the two of us, what we have is 3 shows now.
That's true.
Yeah, we have the big Broadway
spectacle. We have the
spectacle.
small, medium, large.
Yeah, we have small, like, medium, large.
I still like a small frozen yogurt. I still like a large frozen yogurt. I'll still take a medium. I'll take all of them.
So we start with, mine is the one that goes to the fringe festivals and goes to the college theaters to develop and everything. Then when we start getting into touring company and trying it out in Chicago and off-Broadway, that's when we're doing the medium-sized one. And by the time it gets to Broadway, boom! It's great.
Well, and the world is so expansive. There's so many characters. There's so many storylines that I think that totally would work. You know, because I feel like if we're starting with a smaller one, you know, what is his brother-in-law that he hates? Oh. If you know it, put it on in the comment. Yes. But, like, I feel like that's kind of like the much smaller storyline. Yeah. Where it can just be, like, his sister, his brother-in-law, his niece, you know, all that type of relationship building and swinging by the, you know, studio and...
Yeah, and I will say, with, I know that I talked about, it's all one set. It's all the radio station. One of the things that did occur to me is, like, it would be nice to have sort of a William Castle element to it. Of having just little things planted around as part of the audience experience of the show that maybe you don't see as a big part of the stage show. But I'm imagining having an actor essentially playing a part of one of the audience members who gets up to go to the bathroom at some point, and then a completely different person in the same clothing comes back and sits down in the seat.
Yeah, I feel like what it sounds to me like the small version is like very Star Kid, or I think they're called See the People.
Yeah.
There was another group, and I'm really sorry if I'm messing up their name. If you know their name, please comment down below. But they did the Bee Movie musical, and then they did Shrek 2, the live musical. They've done a couple things. I think they're a group out of California. I watched a couple of their stuff at the beginning of the quarantine or the whole thing when we started this. And I only really found two things. So I couldn't see much more of their stuff, but they actually had that in the Bee musical where somebody was a plant in the audience for the whole time. And I also feel like with what Star Kid has been doing recently, where they have been going the horror musical, which... Like, I love Star Kid. I will always love Star Kid, and I think there's really some outstanding performances in the new stuff. But I can't go back and rewatch the new stuff because it's sad.
Yeah, it's very
hard for me to watch.
It's very bleak 1970s horror movie endings.
Yes, but the music is still catchy, and the people are still really talented. But I still would rather go back and watch like Firebringer or
Holy Musical Batman.
Yeah, or Trailed Oregon. Like I just like happy endings where friendship is magic. I'm a simple girl who wants to believe friendship conquers all.
Well, and I think that's a great thing about... Bristol has a spinning pinwheel, they say.
We're in the middle of a big storm. I bet y'all are as well. We had our power go out right before we started.
Yes.
So fingers crossed you can still hear us.
But yeah, if you can hear us, hopefully we'll be back on. Hey, buddies, bros, homies, amigos, pizza, Nintendo.
Woo, woo, woo! Let's go. Yes.
But yes. Hopefully you guys can still hear us. Hopefully we'll be back on in a second. If not, this video always goes up on YouTube. And I'm getting better about getting them up fast. So, and hey, Bristol is back.
As I told Glenn, if I work a job and a half, he has to do all this on time.
Yes. So we've got...
That's our bargain.
But yeah, I think that one of the nice things about Welcome to Night Vale is that, like we talked about, it is a horror story, but it's a horror story about people surviving, not a horror story about the world being destroyed.
Yeah,
so,
and I think the moral or the lesson or whatever kind of happens at the end is always like, see you next week.
Yes. So that's a good thing about this show for being like a happy ending show, is even if the ending is just like, and more strange stuff is going to happen tomorrow, make sure you tune in.
Yeah.
That's good. I have a sitcom pitch. I'm not going to go into huge detail on it because it's not what we're talking about today, and also because we don't want to give away all of our ideas for shows we want to do.
Just on the off chance we do them.
Yeah, but
we want you to be surprised later.
But I had an idea for a sitcom that was basically set in the world that you would expect for a horror movie. And in writing down the concept to sort of create a series Bible for it, my big thing was always like, this is never a show that leaves you in doubt that the characters are going to survive. Like, the world may be a terrible place outside of the doors, but this is about mankind will survive. Mankind will come back. Mankind will still be here tomorrow. And I feel like Night Vale has a lot of that to it as well. That it's like, yeah, weird stuff happens. People disappear into multidimensional portals. But you pick up and you go on.
Love conquers all.
Yes, love conquers all.
Whether it's your family, or your boyfriend in another dimension, or townspeople further down.
Speaking of which, speaking of interdimensional portals and weird stuff and everything. We didn't talk at all about like the stuff we've been watching or enjoying for the past week.
Because we haven't been enjoying anything.
Yeah,
the world is a mess.
the world is a terrible place.
That's not
and
true.
Today I managed to bring myself to watch the new Doom movie, and it's certainly a movie that you can watch. But it
I haven't changed. I like Shane and Ryan and Steven from Watcher, and I like Eugene and Zach and Keith and Ned from the Try Guys.
Somebody Feed Phil.
I do like Somebody
We watched
Feed
the
Phil.
new season of Somebody Feed Phil. It's wonderful. It's always phenomenal watching Phil Rosenthal just enjoy life. So if you have Netflix and you haven't watched the new season of Somebody Feed Phil yet, go watch it.
I like soft boys that like people and things and food. If you are a nice, soft gentleman and you will do nice, soft things, I like you a lot. That's what I feel like I really need in this time of crisis. Is pillowy masculinity, not toxic masculinity.
Yes, as you can see. Anyway, but we have been enjoying some of that stuff. We've been, of course, glued to the news. And
hard. It's really hard, and I think I've talked a lot about people that I know I'm at risk for a lot of stuff, and I feel like it makes me a bit of a coward, and this is why I'm really glad I started therapy, because I'm just like, I have asthma and I have hypertension, and I'm not good in heat, breathing, and blood pressure. So I feel like I could be doing more, and I really admit, like, I am a shoptivist. I like to buy things that support other people. I like to throw a little money that way, and hopefully it helps.
yeah.
Today's my birthday, and it just really struck me that another Breonna Taylor had her birthday on June 5th, and she was shot in her home by the police. And I mean, that was just really... It just broke my heart, and I don't know what else I could do to help bring her to justice, but it's one of these things, like, I figured I could at least talk about it and post about it, and hopefully that will kind of keep her in the media eye, and something will happen. I've been working and trying to keep my head above water, and I support and appreciate everybody that's been able to go out and raise their voice and be supportive towards people who really need it. And I hope that, by taking a break last week, we were able to take a step back and let the conversation go forward instead of being a distraction, as much as we enjoy, bringing light and joy to everybody.
And we are back this week bringing light and joy and talking with our friends and family online who are all here in the chat room. Bristol, I see you watched 6 Godzilla movies. The person who doesn't like horror loves Godzilla movies.
I do. I like creature features.
Yes, but even though we are back trying to bring, light and mirth and fun musical theater and things like that to the internet, that doesn't mean that we've stopped caring about it. That doesn't mean we aren't going to try to do more to amplify voices and encourage you guys to get out there and read up, study up, pay attention to the ideas that are being thrown around right now. Donate to organizations that support Black Lives Matter, because Black Lives Matter, and that's important, and that needs to be said. And we need to keep fighting and moving forward.
Yeah, I've also kind of written a lot of posts about. I don't think I've ever called the police to feel safer. One of the people I follow here at UVA is a nurse, and she said, think of every nurse out there as needing PPE, and if you would just defund the police, little, you could have more nurses. And, having worked with nurses, having worked in a hospital, I think that's really critical. Like, it would have been really great to have, none of us go out on furlough and to be able to be there for people. I've trained in de-escalation, I've worked in psychology situations, and I've worked in teaching situations, and so I feel like there's a lot of folks out there that have learned how to deal with people and learned to be not only like empathetic but compassionate, and be able to realize how hard life is, and how, you know, even if you have a hard life, you know, there are people who have it worse, but that's like not an excuse for you to like say, oh, well, I need to, you know, have a hard life too, but to do more with your life because of that. And I think I'm trying to really work very hard to do that. I'm not a perfect person. I don't think anybody is, but I do feel like, you know, that's why I was really excited about going to therapy and having kind of a professional to bounce ideas off of and talk about like how I can move forward from being just empathetic. Because the thing that she said resonated with me a lot was, you like to take people's pain and just hold on to it and ruminate with it, and you do a really good job at taking everybody else's pain and then you carry it with you, but you do a very bad job of letting it go. Mm-hmm. She's like, you can't carry that around with you because that makes you ineffective. You need to be able to let it go and move forward and teach people how to like build up their own lives and help people get resources and give resources that way. And I thought, oh, all this time I thought I was like doing great. Like, oh, I sit here and I mourn and I feel bad. And she's like, no, that's just being empathetic. You need to like learn how to be compassionate, because the compassion is like the acting thing. And so I think like because of last week and because of this week and things that keep going on, that was a message that was like really important to me. And I've been doing a lot better at, you know, this is not a tragedy Olympics. You know, yeah. You don't get to sit here and be like, oh, I feel your pain, or, you know, I'll never understand what you're going through. And, you know, it's not an excuse to feel hopeless. There's like definitely things that I now feel a little bit more capable of, things that I can do and ways that I can reach out to people or communicate with people and educate myself. And I've been feeling more and more empowered just by having a neutral third party to talk to, because I feel like as much as like everybody in my life was really positive and saying like, you can do it, you're really strong, like you go, it wasn't really helpful in the way that having this person who doesn't know me be able to sit here and like challenge my beliefs, you know, about myself, about the world. And I really found a lot of value in it. So if you're thinking about therapy and you can get to it, I would highly recommend. I've gotten a lot out of it, and I felt like I was a person that had a lot of resources and a lot of privilege and a lot of support from everybody, but it still has been so like uplifting for me.
So yeah, and it is, we've all got to do what we have to do to get through everything. You know, it's like I posted recently and I said, you know, I'm still working on a lot of stuff that I've told people to expect from me. I haven't forgotten about, I need to do a concept album for the Absent-Minded Professor musical. But, you know, I'm working hard and also dealing with everything. So take care of yourself. Therapy, it's not a bad idea. Everybody out there who has the ability to get therapy, I'd suggest at least trying it once. You know, having someone to talk to who is a third party, who is specifically there for you to talk about your troubles with. That's a big help, and that can't be denied. Do go out there and do that which is right, which is a completely different thing from not doing bad things. You know, anybody can do not bad things. That just takes sitting on your couch and eating ice cream. Do something right. That'll help the situation if we can get a lot of people out there just saying, you know, once a week I'm going to do something right. And yeah, listen to the voices that are directly experiencing what's going on right now. Like, we love that you guys are tuning into us. We want you to keep tuning into us. We don't want you to stop tuning into us.
We have better ideas. They're coming.
We want you to tell all of your friends to tune into us. Tell all of your enemies to tell everyone to tune into us. But at the same time, when we talk about what's going on in the world today, we're not the ones who are out there experiencing what's going on. So listen to those people who are genuinely experiencing it. Listen to those people who genuinely have the story to tell. and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we really had the privilege last week to step away. You know, we enjoy doing this and everything, but, you know, I don't think a lot of people have the privilege to just say, like, oh, I don't want to deal with that this week. You have to when you're in certain situations and certain bodies, and it has just been a real, you know, eye-opening experience, I think, for a lot of us, and people that we really care about are really in danger, and we want to see more equality in the world. Like we've talked about with a lot of the shows that we've pitched, we are... Sorry, Lola's bringing in all of her toys. She's very sweet. She's distracting us because we've talked for too long.
She hears that we are very, very serious right now, so she wants to remind us that toys exist.
See if I can take a picture and post it later.
Yes.
But anyway, getting back to the serious issue of this is we are two white creators who want to elevate other people's voices and other people's stories because we know what our lives have been like. And that is just one story to tell. And so I think we get excited when we see other people's stories and other people's lives because that gives us the joy and the benefit to living thousands and millions of lives all at once and to try to understand people better. And so, you know, we get excited about Om Shanti Om because that wasn't our culture. We weren't raised in that. That wasn't our country. But that's like a really fun story we really connected to. I remember, you know, in high school, I got to write 2 English papers in my 11th grade year, and I could choose whatever I wanted to write about, and one was jazz music, and one was protest music from the 1960s, so, like, you know, whoa, good God, y'all, like, that kind of stuff, and it was because I really, you know, didn't grow up with a lot of that stuff. Like, I know my dad loved, like, the Platters and the Tokens. Like, he loved, like, a lot of that doo-wop music. But I feel like I wanted to try to, like, understand other people's cultures. I wanted to try to understand, you know, other time periods. And I think that that's what really made me fall in love with music and musical theater. Even though, like, you know, we don't have a good protest worst, you know, musical. We do have a few jazz musicals out there. But, you know, they're still... you know, not leaders of the pack. So I think that, you know, the more you try to open yourselves up and look at it as a kind of a gift that we can not hear the same stories the whole time and to give people more equitable standing in society so that we all have the same opportunities and freedoms, I think is important.
All right.
And on that note, we love you so much. And we will post a very cute picture of Lola holding her toys and trying to make us happy at the end of the show.
Yes, you guys will probably need to go follow Bree on Twitter if you don't already.
I'll post it.
Yes, she'll post it to her Twitter so you can see the cute cat.
Love you, Kelly.
And yes, we love you, Kelly. Thank you for tuning in. And keep on keeping on. Listen to the people who have stories to tell. And Internet Mom and Dad love you.
We love you so much.
Yes. And so I think that we're going to wrap things up now.
Come visit my Starbucks. I'll make you drinks.
Yes.
Or come visit my hospital. I'll draw your blood. I won't draw your blood and serve you coffee at the same time, though.
But whatever you're into, she can handle it. I gotta tell you.
Do you want a bodily fluid in or out? Wait, that's a terrible tagline. Let's not go with that.
That's not going to be a T-shirt on Redbubble. But until next time, you guys take care of yourself because you know we're not there to take care of you. Bye.